Welcome to another episode of Future Focus, brought to you by ICICI Lombard. Today, we have with us Sanjay Datta, the Chief of Underwriting, Reinsurance and Claims at ICICI Lombard. He's been at ICICI Lombard since 2001 when it was a startup, and he's been in the industry for 32 years. He's going to talk about new products launched during the COVID. He's going to talk about changing customer behavior and also faster settlement of claims for you customers. Welcome to the show, Sanjay Datta. How are you? 32 years in the industry. How does it feel?
Yeah, it's been a long time. So customer uh, lens has evolved. So the customer tastes have changed. The way the industry looks at the customer also has changed a lot. Our products have changed. Our kind of the environment, insurance environment has changed a lot. But having said that, the basic way we look at customers, we are very clear. We have to give value to customers when they buy a product, which is in a sense a product which is in a sense slightly invisible. You don't understand the benefits immediately. So you kind of assume that you'll get a benefit sometime down the line. It's a kind of a product where you tend to believe that the company or the people or the persons you're insuring with will deliver at the moment of truth, and that is a whole moment of reckoning in terms of your own trust for this product. So from that perspective, how you kind of educate the customer, what kind of product he buys, and finally when there is uh, a catastrophic event in the life of the customer, for us as insurance companies, we look at these events across customers. But for that individual customer, if he falls sick, or he has a fire in his house, or he is a kind of his motor car has had a big accident, these are once in a lifetime kind of incidents. It is catastrophic for him. That is where our product steps in and helps him be able to at least come back to a certain place before the loss. Everything in that loss can't be replaced, but at least some financial help goes a long way towards actually putting him back in the place where he was before the loss.
You have 19 years experience in the general insurance industry. How are you settling claims faster and how are you reacting to customer queries at this point of time?
I think when we look at any claim situation, like I said before, you have to be very clear that you have to look at it from two lenses. What's happening across customer and what is happening to that individual customer. Let's say a individual customer is, let's say, hospitalized for pulmonary disease, for example. To refer to the COVID situation, I'm just, few years back or last year, he goes through a similar situation. He is having respiratory trouble. He needs to go to a hospital. He's fighting for his life, and he requires help, financial help, if he's insured from us as a payer who steps in his shoes and pays. So for his thought process and the thought process of his near and dear ones, the situation is the same. The only difference is when you are looking at it, from a COVID lens, is this same situation comes as a sort of a large number of people, just having the same experience together, not only in India but across the world, and hence, the way we look at it is like the lens it changes a bit. To the individual customer, it is the same issue. I need to go to a hospital, I need to be cured, and I need someone to be paid. But if you come across a number of customers who are suffering, having that same thought together, then we need to be much more responsive in the way we plan the entire, infrastructure to be able to, give healthcare access to us, in a manner where he gets what he used to get when he was only a one customer who needed that particular thing. Now several customers are going to be needed together. Our infrastructure has to deliver at this time of uh, as I call it, a national catastrophe, and and we have to deliver it in a situation where we are in the midst of catastrophe ourselves as a company in terms of lockdown, our ability to function, outside our offices, situations where we are locked down at home ourselves. How do we use various tools available, to us, and are able to connect to the ecosystem and is able to give the same kind of experience which an individual customer got in normal times when he accessed healthcare.
What are some of the digital services that you're offering to your customers?
So, so a few, I think pandemic has actually accelerated everything digitally. So we had been preparing for a digitalization of our processes. The reason we were preparing for that is twofold. One is, of course, to look at, everyone is digitalizing. The customer, a lot of our customers over the years are, able to transact and buy our products, get it serviced digitally. So that's been a movement, which is a secular movement. But apart from that, we're also trying to inculcate a process where the customer is able to do a lot of the, offline processes himself in terms of a do-it-yourself, initiative. So the whole idea was, how do we make our processes so simple, so convenient for the customer that he's able to go and transact, himself, or herself, absolutely as if he were, let's say, just using a smartphone for a WhatsApp chat or something, so that he doesn't feel the process of buying a product, process of understanding a product, or for getting a service out of a product at the time when he needs it is very, very simple. The reason why we were trying to do this was to also enable trust in the customer. So if he is always anxious about, about doing something where he needs someone, someone who sold him a policy now is to reach out to him for his help in, again, getting a claim, registering a claim, or just simple things like changing his address in the policy or his name or whatever, everything, we thought he or she should be able to do it himself. And that would build trust in the consumer process of buying and getting service of insurance products. So now all of that is something which, when we had been doing consciously over the years, not only as some across the world, we've seen some examples of that where other companies have also innovated, trying to do this in the fintech space, but especially more so in the insurtech space. But the whole idea was that the customer, by being self-aware and by being in a sense self-reliant on being able to buy, sell, or do anything on in terms of the insurance product, would make our processes that much more convenient and reliable for customers. When this particular issue came, it has helped us a lot. A lot of the customers who used to go physically are able to do so, on their own. There is also initiative which we kept on doing for other customers who need, who are in touch with, our channels. Now, what we have enabled is also a digital fulfillment through our channels. Our channels are also able to go online, get them to get a quote, or buy insurance through a channel-specific digital, process.
Okay, great answer. I want to move into, people talk about claim settlement, the ratios. Are they very important at this point of time? And I heard you have an industry-leading settlement ratio. Is that true?
Yeah, I think one of the key, key factors in building trust amongst the consumer is to be able to deliver his product if and when he needs it. Like I said very clearly, our product, is something where the fulfillment of the product is not immediate. So fulfillment comes at any point in time. Years later, could be just a moment. So it is that moment when we would like to make sure that he, gets to experience the product in a manner where he or she at least has clarity and the speed and the efficiency which he believes ought to be there in terms of delivery of the product. So it's a bit like having bought a TV, if that's a TV which is promised to come to you 5 years down the line, if at all there was something like that, at least on that 5th day, you get it as fast as you get it on the first day you bought.
Nice. Again, superb answer. A lot of people are writing to us saying, what about, does ICICI Lombard cover COVID or coronavirus? Does your health insurance cover that the virus or the disease? Take us through the details of any of your products. Do you need a separate insurance policy for this for this disease or coronavirus treatment?
So one of the good parts, of our product development has been our basic flagship product for this market and for this company also has been what is known as the complete health insurance product. It's a product which reimburses you expenses of treatment in a hospital to start with. Of course, it has additional covers if you have taken it for even outpatient, reimbursement of covers in a non-hospital situation. But having said so, the main product has inbuilt coverage for corona and pandemic-like situations.
Nice.
So if you have this, you are already covered. Correct. Of course, when you buy a product, initial few days after a waiting period, you are covered for life for this product. So you may have an epidemic, you may be subject to an epidemic now. It could be 5 years down the line. Who knows? 10 years down the line, I can't super guess an epidemic or a pandemic. But if and when it occurs, this policy of yours will respond.
Okay, and what about the corporates? What about the corporates? They keep writing to us saying, is there a, if it's a group medical policy, will they be covered by?
Yeah, of course, they will be covered. All of the group medical policies will be covered. Of course, the issue is how much will they be covered for? So that is always an issue, and because sometimes a lot of the corporates buy some insureds which are restricted because the number of employees they've got to cover.
Right.
So when individual has a choice to buy high sum insured policies, the corporate normally tends to buy a certain amount of coverage only, basic sum insured coverage.
And what about the cash expenses? People talk about medicines, the diagnostic tests incurred during the treatment. Will they be in a particular way?
They will be covered. In this, especially if you're talking about the COVID situation, pre and post coverages for tests as well as drugs are covered, even including doctor visits and various other things. But if you have, like I said, outpatient coverage, treatment products which are add-on coverages under the policies, even that would cover some of the treatment costs where you don't get hospitalized, but you just go to a doctor, you have a mild symptom or no symptom at all, just merely a test, or you need to be quarantined, even that at home, even that would cover that. But typically, if you will get quarantined in a hospital for a mild symptom or you are hospitalized for severe symptoms, both of those situations would get covered under our corporate medical policies as well as a retail.
So I'm glad you say that, because that means I can also add a family member in that case, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can do that. But now, just recently, I think we, including a few others in the country, have launched a COVID-19 only product, which pays you, in our product, it pays you on diagnosis after a certain waiting period of, let's say 14 days. So if you buy it today, after 14 days, if someone contracts things, and just on contraction, you get a certain sum of money. This is to take care of all ancillary things. It's not meant for hospitalization for a large amount. But for that, the product I talked about, the normal flagship product is what would take care of you. But in case you want to buy additional coverage only for COVID, even that is also available. In the market also, other variants of a COVID-only cover have also been launched on a limited.
Okay. Sanjay, I mean, this is very interesting. You're also part of the underwriting side, and how tough was it to create a product like this in quick time? Huh? Because you said you've been tracking this also for a while, and it's amazing, right? It's amazing that I can buy a policy today and protect.
Absolutely. I think it's true. We had to react on the fly. See, when we do underwriting of products which have a lot of history, in a sense that when we underwrite a normal health insurance product, or so we have a history of a lot of surgical treatments or accidental treatments or infectious disease treatments over the years, which are of the same type and keeps occurring over the years, last 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, the same. You have cancer treatment, you have heart treatment, you have motor car accidents, you have third party losses, you have various other things where you have enough data for you to be able to, in a limited point, to look at it from a risk perspective and see what is the kind of risk we are under when we underwrite a risk. What is the kind of number of people who are likely to fall sick, and what is the kind of expenses it would amount to. We all have, and we do use a lot of data crunching and modeling to be able to model the risk when we underwrite a product. But in
Do
this
you want?
product, because
Okay,
in this
go on.
product, the whole issue was we were in the realm of uncertainty. So
Absolutely.
from a whole risk modeling approach, is very little thing. Last something like this, a pandemic situation occurred was 100 years back. So very little data the entire world had in terms how it would spread, how much population would it affect, who would get affected, young or the old, and who would go into severity of the in terms of severity of illness, who would need the ventilators versus who would need oxygen. All of that is it's absolutely in the uncertain zone. So when you underwrite such products on a limited basis, you take certain assumptions based on not on hard data, as in data for past experiences, but on data based on projections in terms of what the likely scenarios, some worst case, some best case, some middle cases which are a mixture of the two. And then you take a situation and say, can I build a product and build certain contours of the product and see whether the customer would be in a position to avail this product, so that he quickly gets a benefit for a kind of a single peril, kind of product, on which is in the area of uncertainty. So obviously, I can't really, swear
No.
by the, the pricing, the coverage, or all of that. But it's an attempt to be able to innovate when when we are trying to build awareness of and we trying to also test a scenario where we want to get some
No,
data.
no, this is really future focused, right? Simply because your ability to gauge the future becomes very important as an underwriter. Obviously, there's no data for this. Like you said, that it was 100 years ago. And that must have been an interesting moment for you to prepare this. You must have launched it very fast by working
Yes,
with.
I think we did look at surrounding experiences. So when we built the product, we looked at the Wuhan experience, how it played out. So we took some kind of calls based on how the Wuhan experience played out, and slowly also how it was evolving in the other parts of the world. How did it progress? Based on that, we quickly put together. I think of course, very thankful to the regulator who was very kind of really helpful on and encouraged us a lot to launch such a product. And we had a very quick approval, and we were able to launch it very
Right.
fast.
And tomorrow, when the vaccinations are out, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know how expensive they'll be, and how would you cover vaccination too under the policy?
Yes, under the outpatient coverages, we would cover vaccination.
Okay, that's a great thought.
So obviously, you don't get go to a hospital for vaccination. So you go for outpatient.
Right,
Uh, OPD centers to get vaccination.
Nice. And people have been asking us, have there been COVID-related claims for you? And if yes, take us through an example and how did you handle it?
So yes, the initial trickle of COVID-related claims have come in. We also are a large health insurer, so we can't be unaffected. So and there has been substantial penetrations in the last 19 years when we started this sector. Obviously, health insurance is also health insurance has grown. In that it was a very tiny portfolio when the insurance industry got liberalized in 2000. But over the years, in the last 20 years, it has grown up. Very big. Around 30% of the the general insurance premiums, and so we are also a sizable portion of it. In terms of the share of the market. So obviously, we have started getting claims, and but these are initial days. What we've started noticing is that sometimes patients are coming into hospitals. They may not come in as COVID positive cases. They are COVID suspect cases with symptoms. Sometimes they have underlying issues for which they can't get hospitalized. And during the time of the treatment, it is discovered people are suspected of having been COVID positive. Tests are done, and after a period of time, test results come, and we find out these are COVID cases.
Okay, fantastic. I want to move on from COVID a bit, but absolutely related to industry in many ways. The travel industry has been hurt a lot. There have been flight cancellations. Did you see a rise in claims there? And I'm guessing it would have. But how did you go ahead and protect these people who are locked up in foreign nations as well because of this health emergency? How did I
we did two things. There were a lot of flight cancellations of people who could not travel. They had bought travel insurance as well as flight tickets. So they came. So on the so they canceled their trip. They came back to us and requested cancellation of travel insurance from us.
Okay.
We gave them full refunds of the premium, understanding the situation. Normally, we deduct a certain amount for administrative charges and all that. We did, in this situation, we realized this is something which was not in their hands, and hence it was not a willful cancellation, so to speak, where you are,
Absolutely.
making your own choice based on certain circumstances. It was something which has happened because of a certain trigger across the world, and hence we did that. There were also people who had gone out, before the international, travel lockdown happened. So so a lot of people also started claiming. So they had to rush back. They were given a bit small window to come back to India, and so some of them, incurred certain costs for their trip cancellation and coming back to India. We also took care of that.
Okay.
And last but not the least, there are people who are stranded abroad. They couldn't come back. They are under travel things. So we have had one or two cases. So if and when they get affected and need medical treatment there, we are all ready to help them.
I'm glad you're standing by them. And travel as an industry itself is being affected. If you gaze into the future, I mean, do you see this how do you see this industry recover? And with that travel insurance also, what kind of impact do you see for the short term and the long term?
So two thoughts. Human beings are born travelers, so they will always travel. The future. So the industry will recover, but the form and the mode of recovery may take some time, and may also take a different shape as it goes forward. So for starters, everybody knows that the industry, the traveling, the airline industry will have to innovate a lot in terms of trying to follow all the norms which require, not only the safety of customers, as in terms of flight safety during, the flight, not, the flight safety, you understand what I mean, but also, the personal safety of the customers while the flight is in place. Correct. So which was not something which was the most important part of our journeys earlier. So we weren't too concerned about having health issues during a flight or something. There were rare cases, but now it's become a big concern of each and every customer. I'm sure they will, put in all the sanitation and the safety and the social distance norms, which would to change the mode of how we travel in terms of how closely do we sit with each other and things, stuff like that. Having said that, once it takes off, it will be, it will be a slow return back to, such a situation may not be normal as we see it used to be there earlier, but it will be a slow return. People will, of course, in the beginning, start making essential trips and slowly then, move on to the leisure trips. So I believe essential trips would also need to be covered. We anyway do a lot of insurance on a lot of corporates who go travel and all that. So that's the first kind of the essential trips. People would then move on to leisure trips where they would vacation and all of that. So travel insurance historically forms a part of it. And thirdly, there's another segment where people need to go abroad for studying and other purposes called student travel insurance. Even that would slowly again, come back. And then each segment would require coverages. The type of coverage may broadly be the same, but in terms of the medical coverages and the requirements for cancellation and all that, would see some changes in the product as we go forward.
Great answer again. And this whole new normal is digital, right? I want you to throw light on digital. Are people finally realizing the value of being digitally connected?
Yes, there are two aspects to it. Thankfully, the easy form of digital connection, which is our personal way of connecting, had already developed. We know that I don't want to repeat the number of smartphones in India, and people across age groups and demographic profiles as well as income profiles using downloading, chatting on WhatsApp and all that. That's absolutely been there. The habit has been formed. The issue is there is how much of it do we use it for converting our physical transactions into digital transactions. Starting from use of cash, we've seen a lot of movement around that. In terms of payment platforms and various other banking initiatives. But in terms of buying products, we've seen some movement on the retail side in terms of e-com. But I think from an insurance perspective, because of the growth of InsurTech, and all the product digitalization and the process digitalization I talked about, I think this is a big fillip. The COVID, requirement is a big fillip. People will realize that, they have to become digital savvy to be able to do financial transactions. It's so easy to do that. Just needs, mindset shift. You have all the tools. There's a smartphone. You can download an app, take care of all your, health needs and all that. We ourselves have an app for all your health, things like vaccine, what you talked about, consulting a doctor, using a telemedicine kind of thing. That's become also the thing. So now with, social distancing becoming a part of our, kind of habits and culture. So distancing and contactless kind of interaction will become important. And what better way to do that than through digital transaction? It is as contactless as it is meant for contactless.
Sanjay, what do you think? Customer purchase behavior is also changing in this case, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So, one additional element, apart from being digital savvy, is the whole, fear of mind to be contactless. So once you decide to be contactless, the entire, mindset takes a view. Then you are, you kind of force yourself to go, use digital things. You don't want to be contactless, actually. You do not want to interact with people. So if it can be just ordered or bought or kind of service through a smartphone, why would you not download an app and do it? If you don't do it. So that's one of the things we are, we're hastening the whole development of all our apps where customers can go there and buy, service, get a whole lot of, value added service from us, like telemedicine changes, access an ambulance, get some roadside assistance on this motor vehicle. All of that, through the apps is what we are trying to target.
Sanjay, we do these video webinars on a daily basis, and it is subject to so much cyber risk. It is a security risk. So do you see yourself managing these cyber threats at this point of time with products in the cybersecurity space? And have you seen claims increase?
Cyber theft or the cyber threat is always there in terms of virus and all of that. So and I would, so the word virus is so very common, sometimes it spooks you. So you have malware, called viruses. So the way we are going to take care of viruses now, in terms of social distancing, contactless stuff, I think that same discipline is going to be meant on the cyber world. You have to be conscious of a virus. You can't do away with a virus. It'll take different malwares, take different forms. There's always a, kind of a, chore police kind of, effort between the two. So you cannot assume that you've killed it. There'll be another virus down the line. So the whole issue is, how do you keep yourself safe from these viruses? What are the kind of safety and security measures, the firewalls you're building to be able to protect yourself from these threats? And finally, when we talk of cyber insurance, like health insurance, in case you fall victim to a infectious disease virus on the health side or to a thing, there is a way to be able to stand up and get up again. The financial part is where we come in. Obviously, there'll be other intellectual IP theft and all that, which we as insurers can't help. But at least any kind of ransomware or any kind of threat on the cyber world, which takes away our data, then you need restoration of the data. All of that is paid for through the cyber insurance.
Sanjay, sometimes I think insurance underwriters are unsung heroes. You guys offer protection for digital virus and the current COVID virus. I think you're more warriors than protectors. Is this how you motivate your team to say that they stand for something better and more bigger than themselves?
The whole issue is not about getting into a situation where you use our product.
Yes.
Every time you take our product, I do not want you to use it, and not from a very narrow perspective of trying to make a profit out of it. I want you to remain safe. It's like an umbrella which you take out for a rain, but you don't want a rain to be. How much does an umbrella protect? Rain still comes and kind of hits you.
Correct.
So similarly, we would want you to remain safe as a customer. Want you to do all the protective norms, to be able to ward off all the viruses. And so that's the basic, thought process we have. And our effort will always be to make sure that you are safe, secure, I mean, both health-wise or any other way, from a motor or your cyber threat and all that. So we do not want you to use our product at all. Let me make a statement. As an individual customer, we want you to remain safe, all of that. But if something, goes wrong, something which is beyond your control happens, correct? So we are there to, stand by. It's just like, a family. Your
Yes.
family wants you to be safe all the time. But who better to go to your family than when you need them most, in a situation, in an emergency situation. But when you talk to your
Absolutely.
family, your mother, your brother, your sister, or father, they'll always want you to be safe and not need their help.
Sanjay, what advice do you give to policyholders during this pandemic? Any final thoughts, please?
So that two things. One is, we would want our customers to think both short term and long term. The short term, there is no getting away with the fact that you need to be very, very safe, not only on the individual front, but also in terms of the businesses you run. Make sure that, in both cases, survival is the, the utmost thing. So in the short term, we have to look about, preventing this disease, also the effects of this disease, both on the economy and others, whatever means we can do. Of course, we have a lot of government support, both from a fiscal support as well as medical support perspective. How do we use that to be able to save? Follow a lot of advices which are being, and the advices need to come from the right source, and we need to believe in them, and just get over this crisis. The important thing is to get over this crisis with our life and livelihood intact. Correct. But in the long term, like you said earlier, we need to plan for similar things happening. That does not mean we will not try to remain safe, protect our risk and protect our health and all of that.
Yes.
Of course, it is important. So let's say there are factors which increases the risk of a COVID thing into a high risk zone. We all talk about a person hypertensive, or a diabetic, or let's say he's obese, so many other elements. So in the long term, I just give you a very simple example. We need to work on these things so that we don't become susceptible to other forms of virus. So that's one. The second one, and which is where we are talking about the prevention part. The second one is to look at your coverages again. Are we covered for the right amount? We have understood what is the importance of coverage when you get into serious illnesses, which they require a lot of money and time, effort, and all of that. Also, what it can do to your business. What kind of coverage do you have? Is it from a cyber perspective? Just take it from any other perspective, and see how we can make sure that we have the required coverage to take care of any catastrophic event, be it on the health side, on the property side, or on the liability side in terms of cyber liability. So the whole idea is to be able to look at the gamut of risk we face in a catastrophic or a pandemic situation. In the current situation, get over it best as you can. After you get over it, plan for the long term, in not only in terms of risk, preventive measures like I talked about the health and the other elements, but also what kind of long-term coverage should you buy, so to be able to, over the years, make sure you have the right tools to back you if and when you require it.
On that note, Sanjay, you've been a lovely guest today. Thank you very much for being on Future Focus. We look forward to having you again soon. And for the audience, we'll tell you about staying safe with ICICI Lombard on our very next episode. Look forward to having you there. Thank you very much once again, Sanjay.
Thank you very much. And even virtually, I say namaste.